Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premiere Network on Saturday, April 13th, 2019. This is episode 1582. Rich DeMuro filling in for me. I know you're going to love this. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by FreshBooks, the ridiculously easy-to-use invoicing and accounting software. If you don't believe us, try it free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/techguy.
Welcome to the Tech Guy. This is the show where we talk about technology and take your phone calls at 8888 Ask Leo. What's going on? I'm Rich DeMuro, your host for today, in for Leo Laporte, who is on vacation. Thank you so much, Leo, for handing over the reins for today and tomorrow. I'm the technology reporter at KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining me on the radio today. I've got a great show lined up for you. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened this week in technology. Lots of great stories to discuss. But most importantly, I'm going to take your phone calls. So if you have something that you need to know about technology, you have a question, maybe you got a new iPhone, one of those new Samsung Galaxy S10 smartphones, maybe something just isn't working right at your home or with your phone or your computer. Maybe you need an app recommendation. Whatever it is, I am here for you. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I'm going to do my best to answer your questions, which is basically what I do on KTLA. Some of you might know me from my tech segment on KTLA. I've also got a podcast, but that's what I do. My goal in life is to help you understand technology just like Leo. There's so many things out there that we're buying on a daily basis, the apps we use, and it can get confusing, even for me, even for someone that works with this stuff on a daily basis. Believe me. I get people, they come to me with questions and they're like, they want an immediate answer. I'm like, hold on, I got to research that. I got to figure out why is this doing this? Why did the programmer decide to make it work in that way? And sometimes it stumps me, but most of the time you kind of figure out and you're like, okay, I see why they did this. And most of the time there is an answer for the craziness. I know people email me all the time thinking, okay, this one's really going to get rich because there's no explanation for this. There's no way that my phone should be acting in this way. But most of the time, there's a pretty simple solution to what's happening to you. So if you have something that's going on, definitely get on the phone line and we'll talk about that in a moment. But the big story this week, Amazon employees listening to what you say to Alexa. And this really shouldn't come as a surprise. I mean, did it really surprise you to think that someone in the Amazon corporation is listening to some of the commands that you say to these smart speakers in our homes? And we've all welcomed them there, right? I've got Alexa in my home. I've got Siri. I've got Google Assistant. And it's interesting and fun to have them around because the other day my kid wanted to know what some word sounded like in Spanish. And so he asked Google Assistant. And what a world we live in. I just sat there thinking to myself, when I grew up, I had the World Book Encyclopedia, right? Like sitting on the shelves. And you had to go to that to find these answers. And my kid, in a split second, had all of the knowledge of the world through Google at his fingertips, or really at his voice. So he said that command, next thing you know, he got the word, he did it for a couple more words, and I sat there just thinking how amazing that is. But on the flip side, you have to understand that this is not something that's happening in secrecy, right? Number one, you can access a list of all the things that you say to Google Assistant or to Alexa. It's no secret. It's on the website in your account. Little recordings of everything that you've said to them. So if you're asking to play some music, or you're asking to dim the lights, or maybe you ask a more in-depth question like, why you're coughing so much, or whatever it is, that's in your account, right? So that's number one. People are surprised you can go in and listen to what you said. And sometimes it's pretty surprising. So I went into my account and I heard what I said to Alexa. And some of the things I said were, play Snoopy on my Fire TV, because I was searching for some videos for my children. And it was like different variations. And the best part is, in the background, you can hear my kids talking, my wife talking, and it's all there. So to me, it's private, but I understand that you have to make these systems better. And that's what this article out of Bloomberg kind of blew the lid off this week, is saying that Amazon employs thousands of people around the world in places like Boston, Costa Rica, India, and Romania, where their job every day is to listen to as much as 1,000 audio clips per shift, transcribe these audio clips, and kind of understand, okay, so the bottom line is they're trying to understand what you said to the personal assistant and how they responded, right? So if you say, for example, play music by The Weeknd, and all of a sudden the assistant comes back at you and says, okay, I'll make an appointment for you this weekend. What time? That's not what you meant. You wanted it to play some music. So the little person that's listening to this will go in there and they'll kind of figure out like, okay, well, what happened here? What did this person say and what did they want to mean by that? And so they'll tweak how the assistant responds. And that's how we also see these assistants respond to things that are kind of in pop culture, right? If there's a holiday coming up or if there's some sort of blood moon happening and you ask a question about it, a lot of times these programmers are going in and they're kind of putting in information for what's in the current kind of world, right? Current events and things, and they're always getting smarter. But it's not all happening on their own. We have this idea of kind of machine learning that is just magically happening by itself, right? You set up one of these virtual assistants, you have a bunch of people talk to them, and they just get smarter all by themselves. So that's not necessarily the case. Yes, they do get smarter, but it's not 100% on their own. A lot of times it does take some human intervention for these things to get better at what they do. And so that's what the article is all about. And of course, people got up in arms saying, how dare you listen to what I say to my personal assistant? Well, someone has to listen. And it's not like I'm an employee at Amazon and I just go to work and I just, I'm working in the accounting department. I say, hey, I want to hear what some people are saying to our assistant today. And I just fire up my computer, go to a special screen on there and just listen to a whole bunch of voice commands. No, of course, Amazon takes the proper precautions in all of this, but these people are humans. They're going to hear stuff. They're going to react to stuff. In the article, it says that, a lot of stuff they hear is pretty mundane, like, people asking to play Taylor Swift or people asking, all kinds of stuff. But they also hear other stuff like a person singing badly off key in the shower or a child screaming for help. And if you're a parent, you know that your kids scream in the background a lot. Anytime I go to talk to one of my voice assistants, there's like an ongoing joke because at the end of what I'm saying, my wife or my kids chime in and ask me something without fail every single time, and it kind of messes up the command that I'm giving to the voice assistant. So I always joke about that. I'm like, can you give me 1 minute to just get this command in? And so, of course, you're going to hear stuff in the background. But if there's some other stuff as well, possibly criminal stuff. And this is stuff we hear about all the time in the news where the police and courts want access to these recordings because they catch some things. And people say that they listen all the time. Well, they're listening all the time, but they're really waiting for that hot word. And I've probably activated yours in the background several times in the course of this segment. And I do apologize for that. I forget that these things are listening and they're very sensitive. But you've had this happen, right, at your home where you're having a conversation with someone in your house and all of a sudden your virtual assistant springs to life on one of those smart speakers. And you say, I didn't say that phrase. I didn't say the phrase that activates them. But still, they spring into action, and at that point, they're sort of recording what you're saying in an effort to come up with a response. So Bloomberg did get a screenshot from Amazon showing kind of like what is this associated with? Do you see my name? Do you see my address? But no, you don't. So what you see, what the employees see is an account number as well as you do see the user's first name and the device's serial number. So that is interesting that you see that Rich said this to the virtual assistant at this time. So that is interesting. Now remember, Amazon also owns Ring, and it came out that Ring had employees that also were doing similar things where they were looking at video clips from doorbells to kind of identify stuff in them. People, places, things. So these things always want to get smarter. And the way that they get smarter is through humans. And that's something we kind of forget about. But yes, you can turn off the ability to have Amazon employees look at your recordings or listen to them. And if you go to amazon.com/Alexa privacy, there is an option to turn it off. There's also the option inside there to listen to some of your recordings as well. It's kind of eye-opening if you didn't realize that this thing was happening. If you realize that it was happening, it's kind of fun to sort of listen to some of the commands you've given to your smart assistant. You're listening to The Tech Guy, Rich DeMuro, in today for Leo Laporte. We'll have your questions next at 8888 Ask Leo. So give me a call, 8888 Ask Leo, with your tech questions coming up next. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, Rich DeMuro, in today for Leo Laporte, who's on vacation. We got lots of calls already coming in. So I'm going to bring up Heather, our call screener. Heather, what's going on? We're both dancing here.
Yeah. Is this your walk-up music? Did you pick this?
I pick all the music that's played. No. I always, but it's good music.
It works, though. Watch me.
I think so. Or listen to me.
People are
That's a good one, too. Watching, listening. You know what? In the world we live in, you're never alone.
You are always being watched.
That song was way before its time.
How about quit watching me and I always feel like someone's watching me?
Oh, yeah. See, all these songs were way before their time. Are we getting some calls? How are you doing today?
Great. Yeah, it's good to be back in the saddle.
Yeah.
And talking to people that I know and love and remember and who remember me, which is more important. But Bob's got an issue. He's in Hacienda Heights.
Ooh, Bob in Hacienda Heights. All right, let's bring up...
line 1.
Let's talk to Bob on line 1. Bob, you're on with Rich.
Yes, sir, Rich. Thank you for taking my call. I have what I think is a Wi-Fi network problem. I'll give you a little bit of background. I have a 200 BPI connection from the wall, from Frontier, who's my ISP, and to the router. And no matter what time I run a speed test, I get 200 BPI up and down, so there's no problem there. From that, I go to an Eero mesh network. I have 3 gateways. All Generation 2, and yes, I know that's an overkill, but that's okay.
How many square feet?
I've got about 2,800 square feet.
That's about right.
Yeah, and so I then go from the Generation 2 Eero to a switch, so that I can go to my docking station that my computer's on, and I have 2 other wired devices into that switch. All my wireless devices, I have a printer, 2 iPhones, an iPad, Echo Show, Echo Dot, and 2 TVs. One which is actually a recommendation from Leo. It's an LG OLED, and it's about 20 feet away from the first gateway. And the other TV is upstairs about 5 feet away from a gateway. And they all work just about fine until about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And then the 2 TVs start having trouble. And when I'm on Netflix, it either just freezes up, or I get a, quote, problem occurred, we're unable to play your video at this time, or there is not enough bandwidth, et cetera, et cetera. I'm assuming that is interference from my neighbors. That's just a guess on my part.
That sounds about right. So, I mean, number one, you've got a great setup. It actually sounds very similar to what I have in my place. I've got the Eeros. I've got a switch as well for some of my network components that I want kind of plugged in. So I have this exact setup, and it works great. So you get 200 megabits down?
Yes.
Okay, so 200 is a great speed. So it sounds, if this is happening every day around 5 o'clock, it sounds like the old issue of the network in your neighborhood is getting congested, because what happens? Everyone comes home at 5 o'clock and starts using the internet, right?
Yep. Once in a while, it happened. Like today, I was just playing with it just about a half hour ago, and it happened. But that's also a Saturday when a lot of people would be home. But now in about 5 or 6 months, we're going to go through a remodel. And I can actually run, at that time, I'll be able to run a Cat 5 or 6 cable from the Frontier modem or router to the TV downstairs. That should solve the problem, I assume.
Well, it's not going to solve the problem if it's the network congestion. I mean, your network, are you saying it's your network, or are you saying the network at large? Because it sounds like it's a network at large issue, but here's the thing. When you're talking fiber, which is what Frontier is,
Right.
usually that network is individual to your home. Now, if you're talking cable, basically the bandwidth is shared among you and your neighbors.
No,
so
it's not.
this should not be shared with you and your neighbors. So is anyone else on this network that you know of?
No. In fact, I used to have. I just put the mesh network, the Euro mesh network in 4 days ago, and I used to have a Netgear, and I had a bunch of stuff out there that I didn't recognize. So when I put the new network in, I changed the user ID, I changed the password, and everything, so nobody else could be in.
Okay. Now, did you have these problems before?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. So it sounds like it's a problem in your neighborhood with what they're delivering to kind of like, everything goes to like one main area and then it splits out to the homes, right? So it sounds like it's just the area you're in just gets overloaded. Is there a lot of homes nearby?
We're all homes.
Yeah.
But wouldn't I see that when I test the DPI speed at the modem?
Well, it depends. Are you doing it at the time of the problem?
I have done it at the time, and I'm fine. But see, that's the hardwired portion of it, and
Right.
it's the Wi-Fi that I'm having the trouble with. So that's why I was thinking it was interference.
Well, yeah, there shouldn't really be much interference with the Euros but here's the thing. So I'll tell you what happened to me. So I go to bed a little bit early because I'm up on the morning news. So when I'm up late, my wife, she always complains that the Netflix and everything doesn't look as good at night. And I'm like, it looks fine to me during the day. And so sure enough, stayed up one night and I watched her, pulling up her show, and I couldn't believe it. It actually did not, it like wasn't pulling in the HD 4K signal that it normally does during the day. And I said, wow, you're right. It is getting congested in our neighborhood. So I think that's the problem you're running into, because your setup is very good. I think that the only thing I would check into is just make sure that the Euro is properly updated. Make sure that the nodes, you said you had 3 different nodes, I would make sure that those are all sort of like away from other things, like make sure they're kind of on a flat surface, a little bit above the floor, so not on the floor, and update the software on all the different nodes, because sometimes, the Eero software does get updated quite, and you just said you installed this 4 days ago. So I'm wondering if the software didn't go through a full update in the time since you installed it. But it's a great question. It's something that a lot of people struggle with. But I think that it shouldn't be as much of a problem these days as it used to be, especially when cable first came out, and especially with fiber. I mean, that's a pretty solid connection. So I think that it should get better if you do the things that I talked about, and hopefully it won't be so frustrating that you have to give up on it. But I would, if you still have the problem, maybe call Frontier and just have someone come out. And it could be a problem with your line. It could be a bigger problem than maybe that you can figure out on your own. But Bob, thanks so much for the call. Great question, and a good question to kick things off here on The Tech Guy. Again, my name, Rich DeMuro, Rich on Tech. Some of you might know me by. I'm a tech reporter for KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. So if you want to learn more about me, you can go to my website, richontech.tv. We're going to have plenty more of your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. 8888 Ask Leo. You have something that's going on, let me know. You want to talk about some of the things that happened in the news, we can talk about that. When we come back, we'll take more of your phone calls at 8888 Ask Leo. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro with you here, filling in for Leo Laporte, who's on vacation. Your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about technology. You need a recommendation for something. You got a new phone. You want to know which app does something bugging you with one of your devices at home. Or maybe you just want to rant about some sort of tech that's just giving you a problem. Give me a call, 8888 Ask Leo. We'll do our best to get you on the show and talk about what's bugging you or what you need to know. Joining me now is Scott Wilkinson. Scott is our home theater geek. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Welcome to the seat.
Thank you. It's so great when Leo allows me to take over the reins, because I literally sit in Leo's seat, which there's a certain feeling you get when you're
there
here,
is.
Right?
I do know this.
Yes. So it's fun, and I also feel like as a kid when you go into like your dad's office.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you don't really want to touch anything, but you kind of want to look around.
Right.
Oh, Leo sits on the ball, I'm told. So I'm actually not in Leo's specific seat. But you know what I mean? Like I kind of want to look around and see, but I don't. But
right.
it's great fun, and it's awesome what he set up here. So he can basically play with any gadget within like an arm's reach from the last decade.
That is so cool.
Really cool. So Scott, what's going on? How are things doing with you?
Oh, things are doing great. I'm now a regular contributor at a website called Tech Hive.
Okay.
Which also actually my content leaks over to their other properties, Macworld and PCWorld.com.
Yes.
So I'm doing headphones and little speakers and stuff like that. So check it out at techhive.com. For those of you, I'm doing especially noise canceling headphones, which is pretty cool.
Now, noise canceling headphones, are people using those for more than just the plane, or what? Is there other use case scenarios?
Well, as I've been finding, in many cases, the sound quality of what you hear in these headphones improves when the noise canceling is turned on. So even if you're not in a noisy environment, turn it on anyway, because it'll probably sound better than turned off.
Interesting. I mean, I like mine. I invested in a pair of the Bose many years ago.
Oh yeah. Which are one of the best.
Oh, they're fantastic. Except they're the ones that there's no like pass through. So when the power's off, basically nothing happens. This
is a big problem. Yes, and many other noise canceling headphones don't have that problem. Bose did. I don't know if they still do. I haven't tested their latest models, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's a problem if you get on the plane and
and the battery
forgot
dies.
to charge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And whoops, next thing you know.
Yeah, you can't listen to anything, and you don't have noise canceling anyway.
So were you at NAB, or are you keeping up with everything that happened at NAB show?
I wasn't, but I was keeping up on it because it is a very interesting show. National Association of Broadcasters had their annual convention in Vegas this week, and one of the announcements that came out of there I found very interesting. It is a first-run movie service for your home. Now, you might think, well, wait a minute. I got Netflix, I've got Amazon, I've got all these ways of getting movies. No. I'm talking about the day the movie appears in the theater, the first run movie, like, even Avengers Endgame coming up in next week or 2 weeks. I got my ticket already.
Oh, you crashed the system.
I know.
I was trying to buy tickets for Dumbo for my kids on that day during that time, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And sure enough, I look on Twitter, and it's like every movie ticketing service was taken down because of Avengers Endgame.
Because of Endgame, yeah. Well, I did manage to get in, and I got a ticket, so that's coming up. But how would you like to see that at home on opening night?
Absolutely, 100%.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, on my 32-inch HD TV.
Well,
can't wait.
Now, so here's this service that was announced at NAB called Red Carpet, which actually will deliver you first-run movies day and date with when they are released in the theater. Now, you might go, well, sure, but that's got to cost something, right? Well, yes.
I'm guessing it's not like $6.99 to $9.99.
No. It's like $1,500 to $3,000 per movie.
Per movie?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's wild. So how much is the equipment? Do I just run this off my Apple TV?
This is very interesting. I don't have many details yet. I've been trying to find them, and they have been pretty circumspect about this sort of thing. Like, what exactly equipment do you need? What kind of home theater do you need? Now, people who are going to spend that much are going to have a pretty high-end home theater.
Yes.
And so that's fine. This is different, though, than Bel Air Cinema. Are you familiar with Bel Air Cinema, or what used to be called the Bel Air Circuit?
No.
This is another service like Red Carpet, but you need a complete digital cinema system in your home.
Right.
Now, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I've heard of these things. I mean, this is obviously for the ultra rich and ultra famous.
Wealthy.
But I mean, here's the thing: if you have, and I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago. These people have these crazy movie rooms. Like if you're a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, you have one of these rooms in your house, right?
You do.
And so this is not that expensive when you're coming from that perspective. Now, for the average person, like I just bought my ticket today to see Shazam, and it was $11. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! These movies are getting out of control. These prices.
Yeah, I normally pay $20 to see movies in Dolby Cinema.
Yeah, so I mean, this is for the 1%. But with that said, it goes towards that dream of, number one, I think this $1,500 to $3,000 is cheaper than past incarnations of this service, right?
Well, actually, not necessarily. There was a service that may still be around called Prima Cinema. And that you could use with any home theater system, but it required a $35,000 special server.
Okay.
That basically you would download the movie to, and then you would be able to watch it within a 24-hour window. Those movies cost $500 a piece.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot. That's it. You go $500 for a movie. Yeah, but that's a lot less than $3,000.
Well, and to be honest, when we went to, like I said, to see Dumbo with the kids for a family of 4, it was about $100 by the time you bought your tickets and popcorn and I came out of the theater twice to buy more snacks because that's the way I am. But so yeah, $1,500 to $3,000 for a movie. You have a bunch of people in that room. So You've already
got a super duper home theater room,
right?
Probably,
so it kind of makes sense because why would you go to the movies when you have something better at home? And plus, if you're in that 1% that you have a theater room like that, you probably don't even want to go to the movies because everything in your life is just a little bit nicer than what you can get at the theater. So. Is this going to take off in a big way? And will the average person, we always hear about day and date with movies, right?
Yep.
Will this ever happen for the average person, or is Hollywood?
I don't think so. Well, because the theater owners are still a pretty strong industry group. I mean, just the week before NAB in Vegas, there was another show called Cinemacon, which is for the movie theater, commercial cinema owners and operators. So, and that's a big, important, powerful group. So I don't think we're going to see day and date. If we ever did see day and date for the rest of the world, for the regular guy and gal, commercial cinemas would probably go away.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
One thing we have seen, though, and Scott, thanks for joining me today. One thing we have seen, though, is that period between the release in the theater and the Blu-ray or the streaming, that window continues to shrink. Scott, again, folks can find you where?
At techhive.com.
I'm Rich DeMuro filling in for Leo Laporte. We'll be back with more of your calls at 8888 Ask Leo after this. All right, Scott, I'll let you take over on there.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all. Happy Saturday. Twisted Mister. Yes, for a family of 4, once you figure in popcorn, you're close to $3,000 anyway. That's pretty good. Mike Heiss, hey, you were at NAB, I guess. Red carpet may also be download and store. That's what
going okay? Yeah.
That's what I think it should be as well. And I assume that it will be, that you'll need to buy some sort of receiver like Prima Cinema and download the movie to it, and it'll have, some ungodly number of terabytes of storage, and you can store a bunch of movies. And that's going to be the way it works. Again, as I say, I haven't heard a lot of technical detail about exactly how it will work. So I'm looking forward to learning about that. Not that I'm ever going to have it, you understand. I am not in the 1% for sure. Key 43, are you going to watch Endgame, Avengers Endgame in Dolby IMAX? There's an oxymoron for you. Is that the best option? Dolby and IMAX are two completely different things. And I try to make this point as often as I can because people often do get them confused. Dolby Cinema is from Dolby, obviously, and it includes 2 laser projectors and Dolby Atmos sound. IMAX, you can see it either in regular digital or laser illuminated digital. And if it's laser illuminated digital, it does have 2 projectors. It does have some overhead sound, but not the same as Dolby Atmos. Dolby Atmos is by far the better overhead sound system, in my opinion, or immersive sound system. Also, Dolby Vision has a greater dynamic range, higher visual dynamic range than IMAX. IMAX is greater than regular theaters, but it is not as high a dynamic range as Dolby Vision in a Dolby Cinema. So the answer to your question is I'm going to see it in a Dolby Cinema. I believe that. I prefer that over IMAX, at least for movies that are mostly widescreen. Now, we've seen some movies, and I don't know whether Endgame is or not. I'll have to look it up, where the aspect ratio changes. Remember a few weeks ago we were talking
Scott,
about...
we're coming back in like 19 seconds. Sorry.
No problem. You want me to stick around for the top of the hour? I mean, I normally do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro in today for Leo Laporte. Talking technology, taking your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. And by the way, I should mention, I've got a book, 101 Handy Tech Tips for the iPhone. It's got 4.5 stars on Amazon, and it's available there now. And Leo's talked about it before on the show, so thanks, Leo, for doing that. But yeah, it's all the stuff that I think you should know about the iPhone. So there's a lot of little tips and tricks inside there. Again, it's called 101 Handy Tech Tips for the iPhone. Let's go to Tony in Huntington Beach. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for taking my call. I'm one of the 99%ers, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out this business with Roku. I'm kind of an older guy, so I'm not as tech savvy as the kids out there, but I'm trying to figure out how to get regular channels and some movie channels. Do I need a Roku? Do I need a Fire Stick? I'm kind of sick of paying the cable bill, but I want to get all the channels. How do I win?
Okay, well, so you're saying you're the 99%er. You're not considering the red carpet cinema, is what you're telling me, for $1,500 a movie. So you don't want to pay that much.
I'm willing to go over to somebody's house and see how it works, though.
Yeah, so, me too. If you know someone that has it, invite me. So, okay, so here's the thing. So this is cord cutting is probably one of the most popular questions I get. And the reality is that it's not as easy as your typical cable. So what do you have now? Cable package?
Yeah, just a basic internet package from Spectrum.
Okay, and with a bunch of channels, are there specific channels that you want to keep even when you cut the cord?
And that's kind of my question. Is right now what I've done is I've just I have no channels whatsoever, but I have a Fire Stick, which I think is kind of an interface where I've downloaded a bunch of apps, and I get some like national news and. I have like a little Prime membership, so I get some movies, and I have Netflix, and I'm kind of on subscription overload, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and it's only going to get worse. So, okay, so you already cut the cord. You just have internet at this point, plus you have a Fire Stick?
Correct.
Okay, so you're doing pretty good, and the reality is that when you cut the cord, it's kind of an a la carte system, right? You have to decide what you want. You have to decide what channels you want. There's a lot of apps available through the Fire TV, but the problem with those apps is that a lot of them require a login, and the login usually comes from some sort of cable service, right? Like either Spectrum, if you had a Spectrum account, or if you paid for DirecTV Now, or something like YouTube TV. So you'll notice, even though you can access a lot of these apps, and some of them do have free selections on those apps, a lot of times you do need to log in. So if you don't have those logins, you'll either have to subscribe to something like Starz by itself for like $8 a month, or HBO for $15 a month. But again, I guess my big question to you is, what do you want? You have Netflix. Are there specific, like, do you have to have ESPN? Do you have to have, a certain channel, Animal Planet? Are those certain channels that you must have?
Well, it's funny, Rich, when you ask that, I really don't know what I want until I'm missing it, but I really want local news.
Okay.
And I want, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't need a whole package of Spanish channels, and I don't need a whole lot of Hallmark, so I really don't know it until I want it. But what I'm missing right now is local news and local stuff like that. And so... What do you got?
There's two ways. So with Fire Stick, the thing that I have at home is called Fire TV Recast. And this is a DVR for over-the-air channels. And you do have to have an antenna. So where you live, can you get over-the-air reception? Do you know?
Well, actually, what I'm doing is I'm hooking up my girlfriend's house in Canyon Country, and the reception is horrible.
Okay, so in that case, it may not work with the over-the-air stuff. So here's the deal: if you want to get the local channels, you probably have to subscribe to one of the services, which is either DirecTV Now or Spectrum. Actually has a skinny bundle, which is basically delivered. If you have Spectrum Internet, you can subscribe to it, and I believe it is like, gosh, don't quote me, but I think like $15 a month. It's pretty cheap, but it will give you. There's actually one for $25 that will give you the local channels and one for $15 that will not give you the local channels. But that's delivered. You have to have Spectrum Internet and you can get it that way. So that's probably your best bet when it comes to the local channels. Or you can subscribe to DirecTV Now or YouTube TV. Now, both of those are going to run you about $50 a month. They do have the local channels for the LA area minus KTLA. So obviously I'm biased and I want you to watch KTLA, but if you want, all the local channels, you're not going to get KTLA right now. There is no KTLA streaming on any of these services at this point.
Okay. When you mentioned over the air, I know there's a lot of these quote unquote like booster antennas that are supposed to get, transmissions from Europe or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Floating. Is that a hoax? Or
I do not recommend those. I know they're out there and I get a lot of questions about them. They have a million different names. You pay one price and it's like IPTV. It's like whatever it is. It's basically back in the day they had those black boxes for cable, right? Where you got every channel that wasn't, they unscrambled everything. That's kind of what they're doing, right? So I don't think I personally can't recommend that as someone who is in the legitimate, broadcasting business. Sure, people use those solutions, but I don't recommend them. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other issues which, you may pay $100 to a company and it's gone tomorrow, right? If the government shuts them down or whoever shuts them down. So I can't recommend those. I also don't think it's a very clean solution. So I would not go with one of those things that you see advertised. A lot of people ask me about them, and it's just not something that I would recommend.
No, I agree. I want to do the right thing, and I also want it to be there tomorrow. I don't want to be surprised and frustrated. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, Tony, one of my favorite websites is untangle.tv. So if you go to untangle.tv, that's a great website because what you can do is you can pop in all the channels and shows that you want to watch. So let's say you want to watch Seinfeld, and you want to watch, a certain channel, Animal Planet. You pop those in there, and this website will spit out the streaming services that will accommodate you as well as the equipment that you need to do that. So again, www.untangle.tv is the website to go to, Tony, and I think you'll find a setup because, again, you can kind of build as you go along. You don't have to, when you cut the cord, you don't have to have everything day one, right? You can start with a couple things. You pay for Netflix, you pay for this, and you say, oh yeah, I want to watch that show on here. How do I get that channel? And you can figure out that channel. Let's go to, let's see here, line 3, Darren in Missouri. Darren, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich, I have a question. We wanted to upgrade our in-home residential Wi-Fi, and we bought the Orbi mesh system, but I have some Wise cameras. They only connect to the 2.4 gigahertz network, and, of course, your meshes seem to only do one SSID, and I was wondering if there's some mesh systems out there that allow some granular control over your 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, so I could possibly shut down the 5 and hook up my cameras and then turn it back on.
Yeah, so the Wise cameras, good question. So the Wise cameras you're talking about are $20 cameras, WYZE. And this was we did a review on these things when they first came out. I mean, before anyone had heard of them, we were one of the first to do a segment. And man, when I tell you this thing blew up because it's so cheap. And the camera pretty much has all the functionality of a Nest Cam, right? So have you used these things at all? So are they working?
Yes, I have. Right now they're working. They're clear. I have an Apple Extreme router, but we've had it for quite some time, and we were just, like I said, looking to do a mesh upgrade. And we spent pretty much all of last Saturday trying to get them connected, and did a lot of research on the internet, and doesn't seem to be a solution out there.
So, yeah, because the problem is what happens is these mesh networks like to manually or kind of automatically manage your network. And so a lot of them switch between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So I think that I know a lot of people are having issues with this, these mesh networks when it comes to these cameras. I'm going to have to put you on hold and we'll come right back to you, okay?
All right.
All right, you're listening to Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. Coming up next, we'll talk about Disney Plus. Okay, you still there?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, the problem is we're just off the air right now, but the problem is these, so I'm looking at the Google Wi-Fi one, okay? So let's see what it says. For personal devices that support only the 2.4 gigahertz band, it will automatically connect to that band. So most dual band devices that support both 2.4 and 5 will automatically pick a band. So can you force a device to pick up? Okay. So it sounds like the Google Wi-Fi one will work. Have you looked into that one?
I've not heard a lot of good things about the Google Wi-Fi one. I did not research that one, but I have researched the Eero, and I've even called the Samsung Smart Things Wi-Fi 4-pack.
Yep.
And they said they don't have that granular control.
Well,
you're thinking maybe Google does?
Yeah, the Google one definitely says it will let you. It will work. So it's because it specifically addresses this issue on their website. So it says for personal devices that only support the 2.4 gigahertz band will automatically connect to that band. So, and it says most devices support both these days, but that's not true with these cameras. I know because part of these cameras being $20 that they don't build all the the bells and whistles into them. Like they save some money.
The way they hook up though is you have to go through your phone, and if your phone, you can't tell a lot of times on the mesh which one they're connected to. And it will only connect, like where the cameras are, I would be connected on my phone to the 5 gigahertz. And I know there's no way on an iPhone to force it to a 2.4.
Well, it's not, I don't think it matters what your phone is connected to. Why would that matter? Because it's the device, your phone is just connecting, it's just sending the information to the, well, hold on. It's been a while since I connected this thing to my phone. So as I remember, you scan like a QR code on your screen, right? Or you hold a QR code on your screen up to the camera?
In front of the camera, yes.
And that...
But it would never get to that, Rich. It would just, when I hooked up the Orbeez, it wouldn't even let me go to where it would allow me that far into it. And as soon as I hooked up the Apple Extreme back, I was connected within 15 minutes.
Because you're saying your phone is now connecting to the 2.4 because it's older.
Because there was a separate SSID, so I could then check my phone to the 2.4, and I would connect to it instead of the 5.
I think that the Google Wi-Fi would work. I really do, because since they specifically addressed this, I think that it would work. Mm-hmm. Can I force a device? Yeah. Now on the other hand, Android devices will let you choose the frequency. I'm looking on mine right here. So if you have a friend with an Android, you might be able to get around it that way. Let's see here. If I go to Wi-Fi, connections, Wi-Fi, and advanced Wi-Fi frequency band. Can I do that?
I know where I work, our IT guy at the school, we have a lot of Ubiquity access points. And I asked him, and he says that he has all kinds of control with that. But
well, yeah, those are commercial solutions, though.
Yeah,
those are. Now on the Google, the only thing is you can't actually say you want 2.4 or 5. Now Eero, that's what I have. Have you looked into Eero to see if they give you that granular control?
Their website specifically states that they don't. So
they don't. Okay, but but does it broadcast both?
It broadcasts both, but it doesn't let you choose which one you're on.
So really the problem you're having is you can't get the phone. You're saying that your phone needs to be on the 2.4 for this Wise to actually link up with it in the first place.
Correct.
Okay. That's interesting. Well, here's the thing. I have Eero at home, and I hooked up all my Wise cams without any problem. So I don't, and I have Eero. So I did not.
You have Android phones?
I have both. So,
Okay.
and I'm sure I hooked them up with both phones because I usually test things on both. So I don't remember it being an issue, but I don't remember it being an issue at all. So maybe, but I feel like I can't imagine that Orbi would be that different, you know?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about them. Like I said, we wanted to upgrade, and I went out and bought the Orbi RBK or 50 or something like that, and we spent 4 or 5 hours that Saturday just messing with them until we finally figured out it wasn't going to work.
Oh, man. Well, now one thing, this is a little trick that might help you out, by the way, is you know that you can use the same SSID and password, right, for your new network, and all your equipment will transfer over?
No, I do, but I didn't think about that, so we spent a lot of time reconnecting all of our plugs and everything, and
yeah.
I didn't think about that till afterwards, and then I had to switch it all back, so I know that now.
Okay, now you know that. Well, so what I would say is maybe try the Eero or the Google Wi-Fi. And I don't know why you said you're not hearing good things, because I've only heard great things about the Google Wi-Fi. I personally like Eero better, but it's more expensive. You know, you can find
$400.
Yeah, you can find Google Wi-Fi at Costco for like $269, I think, for like a 3-pack or a 2-pack. But that's what I would do, and I would see. Now, I'm hoping that the new Wise Cams figure this out. You know, like they come up with a solution, because I've definitely gotten a bunch of emails about the whole 2.4 gigahertz thing, and so hopefully Wisecam will get wise to this. But yeah.
Do you know on the Eeros, do you have to have a subscription?
You do not. There is an optional subscription, but you don't have to. So I don't have a subscription on there, but I know you can. But yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right, Darren. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Scott's here.
Hey, Scott. You thought I forgot about you?
No, you were just busy helping that guy.
Oh my gosh, some of these things like that's an issue. All that the 2.4. I mean, you don't hear it as much anymore, but I mean those.
No, you don't. But a lot of routers have both frequencies, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, but something like that camera, I just don't remember that being an issue, because I set it up. I set up those cameras on mine, and I didn't have that issue. But I know I did get a few emails when I featured it of people saying that they had a 2.4 gigahertz issue. So I know Android. I don't know. I didn't have to do anything differently on my phone. That's all I know. Okay. Let's see. So what else is happening? Did you talk to folks? Are you all good?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Yeah. Do you normally disconnect at this point, or do you stay on?
Well, I stay on till the show comes back.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, you can chit chat with. How's the
chit chat?
How's the? I don't look at the chat room as much as I'm sure Leo does.
Well, yeah, nothing much to talk about here. Some people were talking about LPs versus CDs.
Oh, nice.
And somebody mentioned, I forget who it was earlier here in the chat room, something about he noticed that the CD was labeled DDD. And just for those who might not know, and there are those that are labeled ADD or AAD, it refers to the production process. How was it captured?
Yes.
How was it captured, analog or digital? How was it processed, analog or digital? And how is it delivered? So on a CD, the last letter will always be D.
Oh, that's like it's like a tiny stamp on the CD itself, right?
Yep.
Like on the label.
Yep, and it's all usually on the paper label as well.
Right. Oh my gosh, I remember that. That was back when they first came out. You like look at this. That's the kind of stuff you'd look at.
Right.
All right, we're coming back in about 50 seconds. So
okay. Well, then I will wish you well for the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Thank you. Everyone say thank you to Scott. And Scott, we'll talk about our fax machine story. I can't wait.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's. When you get back, shoot me an email.
I will email you Monday. All right,
cool,
Scott.
Man.
Take care.
Thanks. You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro filling in today for Leo Laporte. I'm the tech reporter for KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. Coming to you on a beautiful day here in California. What's going on? You got stuff to talk about when it comes to tech? I am your guy. We'll take your questions at 8888 Ask Leo, 8888 Ask Leo. This was quite the week, especially if you are a parent, or a fan of Star Wars, or a fan of Pixar, or a fan of Marvel, or a fan of National Geographic, or a fan of streaming TV, or a fan of cord cutting, because Disney dropped some very big information about their upcoming and highly anticipated Disney Plus service. And this is what Disney has been planning for a couple of years now. There's been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, and we finally have some answers. So Disney Plus will be their answer to Netflix. And of course, Disney owns a lot of stuff, most recently Fox, or portions of Fox. So they will have some of those things on there as well, some of the IP that Fox is known for, like The Simpsons. But Disney Plus will launch in the US on November 12th, 2019. And the biggest thing about this is the price. And I should say the smallest thing, because they really surprised a lot of folks at a price point of $6.99 a month. What do you get for that? A lot. So it's going to launch with more than 25 original series and 10 original films, documentaries, and specials. And when you think about what Disney talked about, they are really putting Apple, they're really shaming Apple with this, because Apple TV Plus, I went up to San Francisco for the big, or Cupertino, I should say, for the big event there. And they had everyone on stage. They had Oprah, they had Steven Spielberg, they had so many celebrities, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell. And guess what? We were so light on details when we left this thing that it felt like, what? We had more questions when we left than when we came. They didn't tell us how much. They didn't tell us when. They didn't tell us how. They didn't tell us anything about TV Plus, which is Apple's answer to Netflix. Now, here's the thing. Disney being $6.99 puts a lot of pressure on Apple, because guess what? What I heard at Apple's event does not seem like it is worth more than $6.99 a month when you compare it to what Disney's given you. So again, I told you about the 25 original series, 10 original films. By the way, that's just the beginning. There's also going to be 7,500 television episodes and 500 films, including some of the latest blockbuster hits from 2019 and later. And on day one, all 30 seasons of The Simpsons on day one. So just the 30 seasons of The Simpsons is worth $6.99 to many people. Disney Plus, again, launches on November 12th. And don't forget, Disney also owns ESPN, and they also own a part of Hulu. So there may be some play here where you get Disney Plus bundled with ESPN Plus, bundled with Hulu, all for one monthly price. And again, when I talk about cord cutting, a lot of people do it initially to save money. But the reality is, in the long term, cord cutting will probably not save you money, because as more of these services come along, you have to pick which ones do you want. Now, the beauty of cord cutting is that you can pick individual services every month. So if there's nothing on HBO that you like for the next 6 months, you can ditch that $15 payment, which in the past, when it was linked to your cable account, you really couldn't, because that would require you calling in to the operator, going through 10 different people, saying, I don't really want HBO, and then they give you a deal where it's half the price for the next 6 months. You say, all right, fine, I'll stay. Nowadays, that's all thrown out the window, right? If you don't want Netflix because of the new price hike they just put in, you say, okay, I'm canceling, and you do it online, and you're done. Next thing you know, they have a great new movie or show that comes out that really piques your interest, and you resubscribe. Same thing with Disney. If you don't want to pay the $6, $7 a month, you think it's too expensive, then you get rid of it. But again, some of these shows, now there were rumors that every Disney movie would be available on this service from day one. I don't see that anywhere here in the stuff that they announced. But I do see a lot of original stuff. Marvel Studios is going to have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a live action series featuring the Winter Soldier. Walt Disney Animation Studios is going to have Into the Unknown, Making Frozen 2. It's a documentary that shows how they made Frozen 2. Pixar is going to have Toy Story-based projects called Forky Asks a Question, an animated short series, and the short film Lamp Life. National Geographic is going to have The World According to Jeff Goldblum, a documentary where he looks at the astonishing connections, fascinating science, and all kinds of other things in our world, and Magic of the Animal Kingdom, a documentary series that takes you behind the scenes at Disney's Animal Kingdom down there in Florida. From Disney Animation, the Phineas and Ferb movie. That's going to be an original animated film featuring many of the original voice cast. And then there's a whole bunch of other things. So again, the Sound of Music, The Princess Bride, Malcolm in the Middle. Those are all the Fox properties. This is a lot of stuff for $6.99, and it's giving a lot of parents, the idea that they might be able to cancel Netflix because of this. My Netflix account just went up to, I think it was $16 a month now. I have one of the better plans that gives you the 4K, but again, $16 a month is a lot for Netflix. Now, it's not a lot when you think about it compared to cable. Back in the day, you paid, $80, $90, $100 for your cable package, but still. The other thing about the Disney Plus service is that it's going to be on a lot of different platforms. So your mobile phone, your tablet, the Apple TV, the Fire TV. They didn't confirm all the different platforms, but they did say it will be available on various connected platforms, including video game systems as well. So things like the Xbox, perhaps, and the PlayStation. And they're also going to let you download a lot of these things. So remember when Netflix always said, no downloads. No one needs to watch things offline. Everyone has Wi-Fi. And that was their message for many years. And all of a sudden, overnight, they said, you know what, we're going to let you download stuff. And now you kind of just think about the fact that you can download Netflix and watch it on a plane. But a couple of years ago, that was not the case. Disney says that will be the case from day one. An unprecedented amount of content will be available to fans for offline viewing. And also, things will be available in 4K HDR as well, if your bandwidth supports that. So Disney Plus, I'm going to give them an A+ for hitting this out of the park and for putting a lot of pressure on Apple to come up with a better price for their TV Plus service. If their TV Plus is over $5.99 a month, I will be surprised. $9.99? No way. No one's going to pay that because you're getting way more from Disney and way more value and also proven content. I talked about some of those brands. Those are brands that people know. Apple went with the celebrities that people know, but I still don't think they're going to be able to get $9.99 a month or more out of the people. And by the way, I know how I talked about this thing is $6.99 a month. I think they did this price because they've already built in a price increase over the next 2 years. I predict a $2 price increase after the first year and another $2 price increase after the second year. So they've already figured out this thing's probably going to settle in around $9.99 after the first couple of years, right? Which is still a pretty good deal. When you look at a parent like myself, I want 2 channels for my kids, Nick Jr. and Disney. And now I get one of those for $6.99 a month. Nick might be the loser in this. I might have to rethink that one. I'm Rich DeMuro, tech guy at KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles, filling in today for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. We're going to have more of your questions next at 8888 Ask Leo. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, 1-888-827-5536. You got a question about tech or you want to talk about Disney Plus or anything, give me a call. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. I'm Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today, and Sheldon is in Sherman Oaks. Sheldon, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich. This pertains to your discussion about Amazon and the recording of information and listening. My question is, once the wake word comes on, clearly, they're going to pick up that conversation. But if you make a phone call or a drop-in, will it drop off once you connect, or is that phone conversation or that drop-in being recorded?
Ooh, that's a good question. You're saying if you're making a phone call or a drop-in through the Echo device, are they still listening for the hot word while you're on that conversation?
Is it recording so that somebody could technically listen in to that conversation? You know how the guys when you say the wake word, and you say, hey, what's the weather today? Sure, they can hear that part. But what about when I say, hey, make a phone call, and I go through that conversation? Is that conversation being recorded?
Well, generally, the way that the systems work is they stop listening once they give the, whatever the answer is, right? So in this case, the answer would really be the phone call. So my thought would be that they're not. And I think that if they were, that would open up a pretty big can of worms for Amazon if they were
I think so too.
doing that. So my initial thought is they're not doing that, because if I'm a tech company and I'm creating this thing, I get why I need to listen to and kind of analyze what you say as your commands, but I'm not seeing the use case scenario for why they would need to record the entire call while you're on the call. In fact, I don't think they would do that. Now, I don't know for certainty, and I think that it will take some digging to figure that out. But I think the first thing you can do, Sheldon, is to try it out. Number one, make a call on your Echo device or, your show, whatever you have at home. And while you're on that call, use the phrase to activate the assistant and see if she reacts. I think that's the first way to do it. Now, if she...
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't react. If she doesn't react, then I would assume that it is listening. If she does react, it's not listening or recording.
If she does react, it is not recording, right? Because
Correct.
it may use a separate microphone and processing on that system, but I don't think so. I think my thing is it's kind of like a cutoff. Like once you make the phone call, it's kind of cutting off the voice assistant hot word support, right? It's kind of putting that off to the side per se.
Yeah, because I know with drop-in, you have to, tell her to cancel the drop-in. So this will be a good test. Now, if it turns out that it doesn't respond to the wake word, I've done some research on the internet, and I can't find an answer to the question, which is why I called you. I suppose it would then require a call to Amazon customer service and see what the heck they say.
Oh, I'd love to hear what they say on that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd have a great answer.
The answer is going to be.
Yeah. But you know that you can go to Amazon.com/Alexa privacy. Have you gone there yet to review your voice history, to listen to some of the things you've said?
Yes. I hadn't. I didn't go so far because I don't typically make phone calls, but when I do, so I didn't try to go through the history far enough back to try to pick up where the phone call was. But I'll definitely try that once I make the phone call. Once I do the wake word, and if it doesn't respond, I'll double check the history.
But Sheldon, good question, and definitely these are the kind of things that we have to think about these days, right? We have to think about what these devices are doing and when. And I know, again, like I've said earlier, that a lot of these devices will react sometimes when you're in your house, just having a conversation with someone, and you're like, wait, I didn't say the hot word. So,
right.
But let me know what you come up with, Sheldon. Good question there, and
thanks.
Way to be critical of what these things are doing, or just being aware of the potential there.
Great, thanks, Rich.
Okay. Mitch is in Irvine. Mitch, is this the Mitch I think it is?
It is. Not on that topic, though. It's just on the one you were talking about privacy. I'm getting a lot more questions from people whose pictures we've digitized, concerned about what's happening once they upload it to Facebook. They're noticing from those old cars, trips to Disneyland, all of a sudden advertisements pop up based on those themes. Are they using some type of algorithm to identify all the subject objects in pictures?
I would think so. I mean, think about it. They're offering a free service to upload your pictures, right? So anytime something is free, there has to be some sort of money, right? There has to be some sort of money made in some way. Now, with Google Photos, we already know that they're searching through our photos because we can search in Google Photos for just about any object in your collection and find it, right? So I don't see that Facebook allows that functionality, but I do know, of course, that your iPhone does that as well. So if you go into Photos on your iPhone, you can search. And in fact, the latest version of the iPhone software suggests things, like it suggests if you go into Photos and you press search, it will suggest categories. Like right now I'm seeing sport, auditoriums, cars, swimming, basketball. So we know that our phones are also looking, quote unquote, looking through our pictures to categorize them. So is Facebook doing this for ads? I would think so. If I upload a whole bunch of collector cars to Facebook, I would expect that service to say, oh, this guy must be a car collector. So let's show him ads based on that. It just makes sense, right?
Yeah. Is there a way to block it? Can I let our customers know for privacy not to have that happen? Is there some type of ad blocker?
I think you got to get rid of Facebook. I mean, here's the deal. When you sign up for Facebook, the agreement with you is saying, hey, I'm getting this service every month, right? And I'm not paying anything for that service. I'm paying you in data. And the data you're mining from all of the things that I interact with on Facebook. So, and that includes websites. So when you go to websites, Facebook is still recognizing that because each website has something called a Facebook pixel installed on the back end. And basically that Facebook pixel talks to Facebook and says, hey, by the way, Rich just visited that website that sells those cool, funny T-shirts. So now when he goes back to Facebook, that's why you get the ad for the cool, funny T-shirts that you just looked at. That's how it all works.
I'm wondering,
that's the agreement.
I'm wondering if we should put a advisory in or something with all the scanned orders to let people know, because Facebook's the primary home for repository for all of those pictures, and I don't think people know that.
Well, I think you tell folks that they should probably upload just the ones they want to share to Facebook, but then I think they need a better place to store them because Facebook also, I don't know if they let you download them in the full res. I just don't think it's a good place to store photos. It's a good place to share photos, but I'm not sure it's the best place to share photos. Mitch, again, from scanmyphotos.com. Thanks for calling in. I did a story with Mitch a couple years ago on KTLA. They scan a lot of pictures out there in Irvine, and if you got some old pictures, great place to do that. Rich DeMuro here in for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. We'll take more of your calls. Got some lines open at 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. Call me if you have a tech question. We'll get to it next. All right, folks, we've got a special guest here, Leo Laporte. Leo, what's up?
Hey, I hope you're enjoying. Isn't Rich great? I don't enjoy it too much. I'll be back next week. Meanwhile, we'll have more with Rich DeMuro and the Tech Guy Show in a bit. But first, a word from our sponsor, the folks at FreshBooks. They asked me to do this ad because I used FreshBooks for a long time. I love FreshBooks. They saved my life. Back when I was going up to Toronto to do Call for Help, the way that worked is at the end of the month, I had to send out an invoice, for, the shows, but also for my expenses and all that. And the problem was I hated doing it. Who doesn't, right? It's kind of, if you think it's bad paying bills at the end of the month, it's just as bad making bills at the end of the month. So I'd put it off and put it off. 6 months later, I'd go, I'm not getting any money in here. That's the problem. Send out invoices, you don't get paid. So I said, I better do it. Did 6 months at once. They were so mad at me, the Rogers folks. They said, don't ever do that again. If you do that again, we're not paying you. Oh, I went crying to Amber MacArthur, my co-host at Call for Help, and she knew about a brand new startup in Toronto. I'll tell you how long ago this was. She said, they're very Web 2.0. She was talking about FreshBooks, and she said, you got to do this. And you know what? It changed my life. They started off by making it very easy to do the invoicing, so easy that I would do it every month automatically. But I noticed something else happened. Because it was so easy and my invoices looked so good, and by the way, they did everything. I have expenses, right? So I take pictures of the receipts, the airplane ticket or whatever, put that into the invoice. It's automatically imported. Time and hours, yep, they do that too. In fact, you can have different billable rates for different projects with the same client even. It's very flexible. And it handles all the different currencies. So I was billing in Canadian dollars. This was part of my pain, right? What's the exchange rate today? No, FreshBooks does it automatically. So a burden's lifted off my shoulders, but then something else happened, which was really interesting. Turns out, if you send a FreshBooks invoice, there's a button that says Pay Now. All of a sudden, just by being a FreshBooks customer, you can take online payments, which means, on average, you get paid twice as fast. Absolutely. I'd get my money from Rogers almost instantly. That's a miracle. That's amazing. FreshBooks.com/TechGuy. Now, that's just the beginning. Because it turns out, and this is over the years, they've really improved this time and time again. It's a web-based, it's a web dashboard. So they add new features daily sometimes, and you don't have to worry about it. It's just, look, there's something new here. Now with FreshBooks, because you're using it for your billing, that's accounts receivable, right? They know when you get paid, right? So that's accounts received. That's income. They know what your expenses are because you're taking pictures of the receipts and stuff. They'll even dial into your bank and download expenses. So basically, they have all the information they need to do your books. It's real accounting, but you don't do anything. It all happens magically. And I think for a freelancer or a small business, this is really important. I never knew until tax time if I'd made money that year. With FreshBooks, you know anytime you look. Yep, you're in profit. Nope, you're behind. Yep, these people owe you money. Nope, those people have been paid. It's just great. Does all the categorization of expenses too automatically. So when tax time comes around, and I know you're getting ready for tax time, you're going to wish you had been using FreshBooks. Start now so you'll have it for next year. It is fantastic. No more digging out the checkbook or fumbling with paper invoices. They have now added automated clearinghouse payments, in other words, bank transfers, right? ACH, you've seen this in your bank. It's a network that connects all the financial institutions across the U.S. It's faster than a wire transfer. You get paid twice as fast, certainly a lot faster than paper checks. It's great for large invoices. The transaction fee is very low. It's only 1%. So there's a new way now for your customers to pay you. In fact, I liked FreshBooks so much, I wished all my customers were, all my people were using FreshBooks. It makes it easy for everybody. Snap photos of your receipts, create and send invoices, chat with clients right within FreshBooks, manage expenses. There's no easier, better way to do this. And no wonder 24 million people now have used FreshBooks. Since I started, 24 million. That's pretty good. You ought to be using FreshBooks. And we have a free 30-day offer for you that makes it easy. Just go to freshbooks.com/techguy. We thank FreshBooks for supporting us, but you can support us too by going to freshbooks.com/techguy. And then in the How Did You Hear About Us section, please write the Tech Guy. And that way they go, oh, good, we're going to keep buying ads. And that's important to me. So you help yourself, you help FreshBooks, and you help me. If you go to freshbooks.com/techguy, you'll get 30 days free if you put Tech Guy in the How Did You Hear About Us section. FreshBooks is great. I'm telling you, if you haven't done it yet, do it. Now, back to Mr. Rich DeMuro. Enjoy.
Thank you, Leo. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, the show where we talk about technology and answer your questions at 8888 Ask Leo. My name is Rich DeMuro, in today for Leo Laporte, who's on vacation in some tropical far-off land. He's having a great time, and I am too. Talking to you and Johnny Jett. Johnny Jett, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So Johnny Jett, you guys can't see, but he is wearing a shirt that I recommended he purchase. I was in a store and I saw this shirt that had tiny little airplanes on it. And I said, this is for Johnny Jett. And he is now wearing it, and you love this shirt.
I do. Where was it from again?
Express.
Express. So yeah, I went online right when you texted me, and I bought it. I should have bought multiple ones, but I might have to go back and see if they have them.
It's very subtle because when you're looking from far away, you can't really tell. It just looks like little dots on your shirt. But when you get up close, like let's say you see Johnny Jett at like some big travel party, right? You see him from across the room. You just see a normal shirt. You get up close to talk to him. You're like, that's a cool shirt, Johnny Jett.
Yeah, I always try and do that. And this is now my go-to shirt when I do a lot of speaking gigs. And right after this, I'm actually speaking at the LA Times Book Festival at USC. I go on the stage at 2:30. But, it's always, it's like my lucky shirt now. So thanks to you.
What are you going to talk about at the book festival?
It's all about travel deals. I'm going to be with Catherine Ham, the travel editor of the LA Times, and also George Hobica, the founder of Airfare Watchdog. And George is great to be on a panel on because he just calls it the way it is, and I'm the same way. So, he's hilarious as well.
LA Times, by the way, is doing some great things. They just keep hiring, they keep expanding, they're getting back to like the roots of like a real true local newspaper, which is pretty awesome. So I guess that independent ownership has really helped them over there. So, although wait a second, I shouldn't. My company used to own them, so the company I worked for. So maybe I'm overstepping, but I just think it's different now. You know what I mean? So, but they keep hiring a lot of people.
They bring a billionaire in, and the guy is just he's been doing some amazing stuff.
And they're starting their new food section again, or bringing it back, I should say. So let's talk travel. Do you have something for me today?
Yeah. So actually, I think I'm trying to think of an app that you might never heard of. And so have you heard of Mapless? Mapless?
No.
It's only for iPhones.
Oh, okay. There's a couple of them out there.
So what I love about it, it's so simple. You just put in your address, and it's basically a compass. It will tell you which direction to go. It just points in the direction. It doesn't give you streets. And that way, if I was in Spain last week, and I was just wandering around the city, and I put in my hotel because I just wanted to find my way back there, but at my own pace. I didn't have to worry about which streets to go down. And it was great. And it tells you, your estimated arrival and how many minutes it's going to probably take you. But I just love the way it just points.
So wait, hold on. Okay, so explain this to me. I say I'm in a different country. I fire up this app. Do I type in my destination where I want to go?
Yep.
And then
it's for walking.
Okay.
It's for walking.
And so it's just a giant, I'm looking at the website, it's just a giant arrow, and you basically just follow the arrow where you want to go. Oh, that's so brilliant. So you can kind of wander the city, but kind of also go in the direction that you need to go.
Exactly. So, I think their tagline was something like, something like relax and just, wander, get lost basically, but at least find your way back.
I love this idea. Is this a free app?
It's not free. I think it's $9.
$2.99 according to their website. Which is
okay.
Am I at the right one? Mapless walking directions.
Yep, it's yellow with a. I just had it in my phone. I'm just trying to
look around. Enjoy your walk. Is that
That's
the one?
It. That is it. Look
okay.
around.
So $2.99. This is. I just linked it off your website, johnnyjett.com. So it's definitely the right one. But I love it. It's a great idea because there it is. So you just go. You have to go south to get to your convention center.
Well, this was 2,000 miles away. I was in Miami a few days ago speaking at the convention center, and I had that in there, and I was just walking there from my hotel, and it's a fun app, and and everyone I've showed it to, especially when I was in Spain, they're like, "Oh my God, I love it! I got to download it."
Now it's interesting because it reminds me of something new that Google is testing, and I did a little video about this on my Instagram. Google is now testing. Have you heard of this? Augmented reality walking maps inside Google Maps. So here's how it works, Johnny. It's crazy. You basically lift up your phone, you see a live view of the world around you, but your map is actually, your like arrows and stuff are all digitally superimposed over the real world. So if you're walking in the wrong direction, you see literally you see through your phone like what you're seeing in the front of you, but they put like arrows like saying, oh, you got to turn this way. Now, here's the other crazy thing that Google's doing. They are actually using the street view to map up to what you see through your camera to figure out where you are faster than GPS. Because they're saying when you point your phone at that building in front of you, let's say, you're in some foreign city that the GPS is kind of tough to get through the buildings. It's saying, oh, we recognize that building instantly using artificial intelligence. And we know that that's pointing south. So we can give you directions faster than it would be if we had to wait for GPS to get its lock on you. I tried this thing out. I have access early because I'm a local maps guide on Google because I submit a lot of pictures and stuff. So they're giving it to us early, and I've been trying it out, and it's pretty wild. I mean, it's
I gotta see that.
It's pretty amazing.
So what happens if two buildings are identical?
Well, they're using different indicators. It's not just one. It's Google. They're using a bunch of magic to build into an algorithm. Right. So some of that magic is, which Wi-Fi network are you near? Which Bluetooth? All these different indicators that they can use. But the reality is, like when you walk out, and I'm sure this has happened to you, when you walk out of a subway terminal or anytime you walk out of a building into the streets, especially in a crowded cityscape, it takes a minute for it to get a lock on your phone, and you start walking in one direction, and all of a sudden it's like, oh nope, got to walk the other way.
I know. That's why I like this, because it always seems like when I use Google, I seem to walk in the wrong direction.
Yes, it does, and that is. I noticed that actually, Google Maps versus Apple Maps. As much as I'm not a fan of Apple Maps, for some reason in big cities, Apple Maps seems to get a better lock on you for walking directions. So is that what you're noticing?
Yeah, that's sounds accurate.
I'm not sure why.
I thought it was my brain.
No,
I'm glad it's not me.
Oh no! Last time I was in New York City, no joke, I walked in the wrong direction for 20 minutes with Google Maps until I reached the Brooklyn Bridge, and I said, "Oh nope, that's not where my hotel is."
You're from New Jersey, and you know New York City.
Oh no, I don't. I don't know New York City at all. Because when I grew up, number one, there was no Google Maps. There's no maps, so you just
but that's why you don't rely on that.
No, you just get lost.
So anyway, that's funny.
Okay, so
do we have time for a website? Or
yeah, let's do a website real quick.
Okay, so one of the things I love when I fly a lot is, if I'm in coach, I always try to get the exit row aisle or the bulkhead aisle, and I'm sure you're the same way.
Yes.
Or a window, whatever you prefer, but you want extra leg room. So if you book the last minute, a lot of times that seat's taken. So what you got to do is keep checking, all the time to make sure that, to see if someone's either canceling their trip or if they've been upgraded, because usually the freaking flyers are in those premium seats and they usually get upgraded. But there's a Expert Flyer. Have you heard of Expert Flyer?
I have heard of Expert Flyer. Yes.
Okay, so it's a $100 membership a year or $99.99 a month. But what I love about it is that they offer seat alerts. So when I fly and I don't have the seat I want, I go in and I can actually choose the specific seats, or I can choose, the whole row of aisles or a window, whatever I'm looking for. And when that opens up, I'll get an email.
Yes, but it's a great feature because it will alert you, but you do have to pay for this. This is a service that's paid. So this is for someone who is, obviously flying a lot, right?
But they do offer one seat alert free.
Oh, well, there you go.
And then they'll start charging 99 cents, but it's really not worth it because, just to pick one seat.
Right.
Unless it's that one. But what I also like about it is it'll show you which seats are blocked, because a lot of the airlines block seats, especially in the bulkhead, for families or handicapped people. In the last second, they will open them up.
All right, Expert Flyer. Johnny Jett, thanks so much for joining me. Have a great chat at the LA Times Festival of Books, and we'll be watching you on Twitter to see what you say from there. Thanks so much for joining me. Rich on Tech here, filling in for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. I'll have your questions next at 8888 Ask Leo. Plus, I'll talk about 5G in LA. So Johnny, real quick, I know you got to run, but real quick. So I actually signed up for the Expert Flyer.
Okay.
Remember we got it at the Points Guy thing? He gave us a little membership. So I tried it. The only thing is that their website is so old school. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's not very user friendly. So I was trying to find it, figure out ways of there's certain fares, if you make a points fare and you can get upgrade for cheap or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, I didn't get into that, but they will tell you when the seats open up for award tickets. I just tweeted my post on it that my expert, I have one of my freaking flyer friends. I mean, the guy travels more than anybody. He'll go to Asia twice a week.
Wow.
He wrote this post, and he uses this religiously.
Wow.
He's the one that turned me on to it.
So I'm sure it's. I'm sure if you really know the system, I was really trying it out. It's tough because I think the airfare systems are slow in general. They don't want to put out responses that fast because they know these systems are pinging them all the time, I guess, right?
Well, it's confusing, and so that's why I actually paid my buddy Ramsey to write this. And
so where's
it's worth a read. I just tweeted it and I just put it in the chat room.
Okay, perfect.
For that, and then I'll also do that mapless one. I mentioned the mapless one on Leo's show about a month ago, but when I mentioned it, I only used it once, and then when I was in Spain, I was in Seville, I used it all the time, and in Miami the last few days.
It's such a good idea. I love it because it's you can kind of just have fun and walk a little bit without totally
Agreed. But you're doing a great job. You're real comfortable up there now.
Oh, thank you. It's usually Sundays are a little bit better.
You're looking real comfortable.
When you do something twice a year, it's you forget all the little quirks.
I can't imagine how nerve-wracking that must be.
Yeah.
So,
but it's fun. It's great, and I love doing it. So, and great. I get a lot of emails from people that say they find me here, so that I love that. All right, Johnny Jett, get over to the LA Times and have fun.
Take care, buddy.
Okay,
I'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro filling in for Leo Laporte today. You can find me on Instagram at RichOnTech. Christy is in Mission Viejo. Christy, welcome to the show. How can I help you?
Hello. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
So I was listening about, in fact, should I say the Alexa word in front of my...
Sounds like something, sounds pretty bad.
Home system here?
When you spell it like that.
I know. Well, if I said it, she'd go what, right?
Yeah, and you'd activate about 100 other people's too, or more.
Exactly. So I was wondering about Google Duo, their video chat.
Mm-hmm. What are you wondering about it?
Well, when you're on a video chat, is that recorded? Are the pictures recorded? Are your faces recorded? I know so much about the word out that maybe the CIA and, I don't know. I don't know if it's conspiracy theories or if it's real. And so it was just, when you spoke with an earlier caller, it made me wonder, because I do use Google Duo as my video chat with people that don't have Apple phones.
Right. Well, number one, I love that you use Duo, because I feel like Duo is the best kept secret in the world that nobody's using, because it's fantastic. Google use FaceTime on a regular basis. Do you?
I wouldn't say regular, but often.
Okay. So, FaceTime is good, but it's not great, right? It's easy because it's built into the iPhone. But when you really think about it, and it's gotten better, but the video quality is not very good. There's not many features. For a period of time, it was spying on everyone. Remember that whole thing where you could listen in to anyone's phone through FaceTime? Do you remember when that whole thing happened?
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
And between LifeLog, the CIA program going down the day Facebook started, and all this stuff that's now in the news, I don't mean to be paranoid, but you wonder.
No, but you do have to wonder. And I do this stuff for a living. And when I saw the FaceTime secure, privacy breach, where basically if you did a 3-way call with someone and included yourself on that call as a third person with FaceTime, it would allow you to listen to someone's phone. I was in shock. I could not believe that was a bug that was built into FaceTime, right? So
exactly.
Can we think that anything these days is 100% secure if you're using a network to talk to someone, right? No, absolutely not. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to specifically Google Duo, the calls, according to Google, are encrypted end-to-end. What does that mean? That means that they're using encryption that nobody else can break, including Google themselves. So that's number one. Now, does that mean that the video is there and the audio is encrypted? But does that mean that other details about your connection are encrypted or private, right? So who you called, when you called them, what your username is, the whole background of who you are, the whole background of the person you connected to, all that stuff is fair game. I don't think that there's any expectation that data is private. So let's say you're the government, there's a problem, and the government says, hey, we want to see every person that this person contacted on Duo for the past year. I do believe that is information that Google would be able to cough up. I'm not saying they just hand it over. They'd probably want to, a court decree and a search warrant and all that stuff. But again, that's the kind of data that they are collecting. I don't think that what you say on Google Duo is being collected. So
okay.
I think you're safe there. But the reality is, any of these services, when you're using them, you just have to keep in mind that these are internet services. And that's why a lot of people like iMessage as well, because it is end-to-end encrypted. Whereas things like Facebook Messenger right now is not. There are options to turn on that security with the person on the other end, but it's not on by default. And so I think we're going to hear more about this, Christy. I think you're onto something. I think people have a much more heightened awareness of privacy at this time. And I think that we're going to start to think about these things as we use these new services that come along, because you're sitting there saying, oh, this is great and it's convenient and it's free, but hold on. Who has access to my data and who has access to what I'm doing on these services? That's a big deal. So
and as you said earlier, if it's free, somehow it's not free. They're going to. And I've noticed I get ads, like if I bought Boll & Branch sheets, and now I get ads all the time. Or I looked at, some other clothing website, and now I've got ads all the time. And things like just talking near my wonderful communication device at home. And, sorry, my
your anyway. Assistant. Yeah. No, now here's the thing.
Thank you.
The one that everyone thinks, okay, so I've still not been able to prove the whole I say something to someone and next thing you know, I get the ad on my Instagram. So the other day I told my producer at work these socks I love, right? It's this new brand. And I said it like 100 times to her because I wanted it to show up in her Instagram account, right? And it didn't. But here's the thing. eventually it probably will, because guess what? I follow that sock brand on Instagram. Here's what they're doing. I mean, it's so crazy how they're linking people up. They know on the Instagram servers that my phone is next to this person's phone many times throughout the day, right? So what the servers are saying is, they probably discuss a lot of the stuff that Rich likes and vice versa. So we're going to kind of show them a couple of the ads. We're going to cross-pollinate a little bit, right? Some of the things that Rich was looking up, we're going to show her because he might have talked about it to her. Maybe when I talk about it to her, she looks it up on her computer. Next thing you know, the ad shows up on her Instagram. That is still the craziest thing. The companies swear 100 times over that they're not listening to your phone to hear what you say to serve you ads. But the argument on the other side is they're so smart, they don't even need to listen, because they already know that chances are I'm wearing these new socks that I researched and I bought, and I'm probably going to tell a couple people at my work about those socks. So it figures out all the cell phones at my work and says, we're going to target ads. We're going to sprinkle them into these people. Maybe some of them will bite, some of them won't. But it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I talked about remodeling my bathrooms and had a tile guy here, and we were walking around the house talking, and suddenly I was getting tile ads when I was on, the internet on my computer at home. But then I realized I did look up a tile company that I know of on the internet. I did search that. So I thought, is it from me talking, or was it from that ad? And of course I didn't pay attention to the timing of it, because I didn't know I'd get a tile ad. So, okay.
But guess who was paying attention? All those data hogs out there like Facebook and Google and all the other companies that sell our data. Christy, great question. Thanks so much for calling in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great show. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Let's see. We have Becky in Ohio. Becky, you're on with Rich. How are you doing today?
Hi. Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just a couple minutes here to talk to you. So what's going on?
Okay, so has anybody been complaining about the newest Samsung update on their notes? Because I've changed none of my settings, and all of a sudden my batteries are dying within 2 hours where I could go all day before.
Ooh, that's not good. Something's going on. So some app is running in the background. What version of the Note do you have?
8.
So you have the Note 8, which is the most recent one, and you did the recent update, and now all of a sudden everything's just totally draining.
The fact that I hate everything that it changed, and I can't figure out if it's Messenger now or just my text messages. Otherwise, I guess I can live with all the updates, but my battery's dying so fast.
So you're talking the One UI, which is Samsung's new software with Android 9. Is that what you got?
Yeah, they changed the Oreo or whatever.
Yeah, they changed.
Look crap up, but I can't figure it out. So.
Well, here's what I'd recommend. So a couple things to do because you got this new software. Number one, sometimes it does take some time for software to quote unquote settle in. But what I'd recommend is go through your phone, and I would get rid of any app that you don't recognize. Delete all those, get rid of them, and then I would run a program called HTC Boost to get rid of old files, and then restart your phone and see if that helps. Rich DeMuro here, filling in for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. We'll have more coming up next. Becky, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you say it was HTC Boost?
HTC Boost I like. The other one is Files Go by Google. And I would run those programs to see your phone should not be running out of battery. I think it's something that's kind of hanging up in the background that's not compatible. Probably an app that's not. Have you updated all your apps?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't do that.
Okay, so definitely update your apps because I think there's an app that's interacting poorly with your new operating system, and I think you'll be okay because I use the beta of what you're talking about for a while, and my phone was fine, the Note 8. So you should. There is hope. Now, if this keeps happening, you gotta get it to Samsung and figure that out because it's not very good if that's the case. All right, but good phone otherwise, don't you think? I mean, I know it changed everything to look a little bit more cartoony. I know.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah. Whatever. That isn't a Messenger though, right? Because I hate Messenger. I thought I deleted that.
Which one? Google, Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, so it didn't change my text message to a Facebook Messenger, right?
No,
That's what it looks like now.
It does. Oh, the logo.
But
Let me see.
Pop up. It doesn't pop up little pictures.
Let me look at the logo.
Contact.
I use Google. I use the Google Oh yeah, you're right. It does look like Facebook now, the Messages app. But no, it's still. If you want to know if it's Samsung, you can press and hold the app, and then there's a little eye that pops up, and it should tell you that it's Messages, not Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
See
and
that?
the other thing that I hate, I used to on my messages be able to swipe call, and now I have to hit it to go in and hit the call button. That's irritating.
Yeah,
I drive all day long, so I have to have everything just fast with my fingers, you know?
Right. I know. They make these little changes that affect people, and I get emails all the time from folks like, if there's something that they liked and they just got, they relied on it, and it changes, and there's like not much. Samsung, I hate to say, they're not as responsive with a lot of the changes always. Like sometimes they kind of take a while, whereas Apple, I've noticed, like sometimes they'll change things back. Like I remember with FaceTime, they changed this big feature, and now the feature they removed is back, which everyone complained about it. Samsung, I don't see them as responsive with their software for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
you can always switch to a different app if you want to try a different messages app, like maybe Google Messages. Maybe give that a shot. All your messages will transfer.
Google.
What's that?
They got too much. I don't like Google. They got too much info on me. I want to delete my Google Assistant, but I haven't figured that yet either. So.
Yeah, that's a tough one to disable. All right, Becky, thanks for listening. What station are you listening on out there?
It's I think it's 1100 AM Cleveland.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
640 Akron.
Okay, 640 Akron. Got it. Well, I'm on channel Fox 8 out there at 12:55 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On
Sweet.
Yeah, with Gabe and Steph.
I'm never home to watch TV. I just listen to the radio.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Becky, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. I'm Rich DeMuro, tech reporter at KTLA, Channel 5 News in Los Angeles, here with you today to talk technology. In for Leo Laporte. Thank you, Leo, for handing over the show for today and tomorrow. Leo's on vacation. He'll be back. But in the meantime, we're talking tech, talking whatever you need to know about technology, something bugging you, you got a question about something, you want an app recommendation, whatever it is, we can talk about it. In Los Angeles, there is now 5G wireless. Mobile, I should say. AT&T launched their 5G service in LA, but good luck trying to use it. The service is now live in 7 more cities, including Austin, Nashville, Orlando, San Diego, San Francisco, and San Jose. AT&T says there's now 19 cities where they're the only carrier to offer mobile 5G service to businesses and consumers, well ahead of our competition, according to AT&T. But here's the real deal. Good luck trying to find 5G in the city that you live in. So this is an arms race, folks. 5G sounds amazing, and it's going to be awesome, but 5G is not a thing right now. Yes, you can get it in some places. Yes, some businesses are using it. No, there is not a real mainstream phone that takes advantage of the 5G network. So when it comes to AT&T, the only way to get the 5G service is with a special mobile hotspot called the Netgear Nighthawk 5G, which is $500. And by the way, I challenge you to go on the AT&T website and get a map of 5G coverage because you will not find it. I looked yesterday for an hour, and you can't find anything about it. You can find all the they love to talk about it and promote it, but when it really comes down to it, if you want to try to find anything about it, you can't. You actually, if you want this 5G service, you have to put in your name and email address, and someone from AT&T will contact you so you can sign up for it. It's just wild. Verizon, meanwhile, they lit up 5G in 2 cities for real, where you can actually sign up for service. One of those cities is Chicago. The other is Minneapolis. And by the way, when I talk lit up, it's tiny. It's like tiny, tiny little areas. So, in fact, folks from The Verge and CNET had trouble finding a 5G signal anywhere in these 2 cities. And when they did, the service was pretty good. Now, 5G, when it actually happens for real, is going to be great. So imagine your internet connection at home pretty much on your phone or even faster. So this will have some great implications for the consumer because a lot of times you may be able to go with a wireless 5G connection at your home for your home internet as opposed to the wired connection you get from your cable company. But again, with Verizon, same story. You can get the phone, but it's one phone right now, the Motorola Z3, and you have to have this special Verizon 5G attachment antenna to get the signal. And you really have to be very specific of where you go because these signals don't go very far. So with 5G, the signal does not travel in a meaningful way compared to 4G LTE. You know, you're driving, if you drive in the countryside, you'll see a tower every couple of miles, right? Well, with 5G, you needed a little mini tower, very close proximity for this service to work. Now, again, this is all very early technology. Hopefully it will get better. But right now, 5G is all hype. You don't really need to worry about it too much. And by the way, if you're one of those folks that has an iPhone and AT&T and you've seen this little 5G signal on your phone, yeah, you're excited. No, there's nothing that's changed. Basically, AT&T is doing that as a marketing scheme to say, hey, look at you, you've got 5G evolution. They're basically just saying like it's the same network, but we're kind of evolving it to work with 5G in the future. So it looks fancy on your iPhone, but it doesn't really mean much. So again, I don't think you have to worry about 5G at all in 2019. Maybe in 2020 you can do that. But right now, I don't really think you have to think much about 5G. Taylor is in Cincinnati. Taylor, you're on with Rich. What's up?
Hey, Rich. Hey, you're doing a good job, my friend. It has to be a little bit interesting being on the radio instead of television.
Yeah, a little different. Basically, they let me talk here. TV, I get about 2 minutes. Here, I get like 3 hours. So, yeah, it's a little bit different.
So I actually have two questions for you. The first of which is regarding your 5G that you were just talking about. So I heard that 5G, the signal doesn't travel as far. That's why you were saying the antennas or the towers have to be in closer proximity to each other. Do you know how 5G is when it comes to like penetrating buildings and being inside buildings? I mean, you got companies like Verizon who are known to have really good coverage. People always claim that, you know, they get reception in places that they don't expect to. Do you know how 5G would impact that?
Yeah, I believe 5G actually penetrates buildings better. But again, you need those, you need the antennas in more places. So a lot of people are saying in their neighborhoods where they're starting to wire them for 5G, they're putting them on like every like fifth light pole. That's crazy right now. Yeah, it's really, I think it's a challenge for this signal. I think it's, personally, I'm a little bit concerned because with cell phone antennas, I get it. There's a bunch of radiation and all that stuff happening everywhere. But when you start putting these things like everywhere, it kind of gets a little bit more concerning to me, right? And I'm sure the smart people have done the research, but it seems a little crazy to me, right? That we have to put more of these antennas everywhere for these signals.
It almost seems like you're developing community Wi-Fi at that point.
Right, and that's the thing. Eventually, the 5G networks will be so good that they should take over all those connections. You know, you might not need Wi-Fi anymore. So, but yeah, and I still think all these the standards are still being written for 5G. So I think that's part of the issue is that we're still trying to figure out how this is all going to play out.
Right, that's true. All right, the second question I had for you, and then I'll let you go. Google Duplex. It was a project, I believe, started by Google a while ago where, you could ask your Google Assistant to call and make like a hair appointment and stuff for you.
Yep.
Have you used it? I haven't heard much about it. I mean, I heard it came out and it kind of hasn't been talked about much. So is there a great place to find more information on it? Is there
right here? Because I used it. I used it a couple weeks ago. Taylor, I feel like you're set up here because okay, so I'll tell you the story. My wife and I went to Palm Desert a couple weeks ago for a vacation, and there was this one restaurant that she couldn't get a reservation with because they opened up too late or too early. She was at work. Blah, blah, blah. They weren't on open table, and I was like, and I go to my phone and I start firing up Google, and she's like, they don't do any of that online stuff. I said, hold on, let me try something. I fired up Google Assistant on my phone. I said, can you get me a reservation at this restaurant for 6 people at, this date and time? And then it came back and it said, okay, what time range can you do in case they can't do that? All, by the way, through Google Assistant. Said, okay, we'll call the restaurant and we'll let you know. Google Duplex called the restaurant, made the reservation with a computer, through a robot that called the restaurant basically, and then confirmed to my phone. So it is rolling out. This was on the iPhone, by the way. So it was initially available only on Android or Pixel devices. It is rolling out. So if you download the Google Assistant app on your iPhone, you can ask it to make your reservations at places that are not necessarily on OpenTable or any of the other online reservation services. And you'll know because you'll get an email from Google that says, how did we do? I actually got a little questionnaire from Google saying, how did we do? Did they call you? Do they have any questions? But Taylor, this thing is happening, and it's happening in a big way. And I think the last I looked at it, 43 different states. So It's pretty wild. And I could not, the smile on my face when I went to dinner at this restaurant, knowing that a computer voice made the reservation for me, was just unbelievable.
Right. You're walking the restaurant wondering, did that really just happen?
Oh my gosh. I took a picture. I actually just did a presentation the other day for a group of business folks, and I told them all about this because I said, you will start getting calls if you run a hair salon or you run a restaurant or any place that takes appointments. A computer is going to start calling you, and it does not sound like a computer. It sounds like a human on the other end, and they even say things like and But it is wild, Taylor, and it is the coolest thing ever, and you're right. We're not hearing a lot about it, but it is happening, and it's starting to happen more and more. So try it out.
Some of these voice assistants have a little personality to them. It's funny.
They do. Taylor, thanks so much for calling in on the show. Great question. Your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today. We'll take more of your questions after this. I didn't want to put the restaurant on blast, but it's called Il Corso, and it was just so crazy. I actually have I took a picture because, let's see. Because I was so excited that, number one, with the wife, it was just so great to be like, I didn't even know if it would work. I just wanted to try it, right? So here's the picture of both my, John, can you get that? Or is Alex or John? So here's the picture. Oh, maybe you can't see it. Nobody's listening to me. Anyway, I took a picture at the restaurant because there it is. Oh, wait, let's see. There it is. Okay, wait, am I in the right place here? So that was my confirmation from Google Assistant. Your reservation is set, Il Corso. I deleted the I kind of redacted the restaurant when I tweeted it out. Not that anyone was going to meet me there or whatever, but I just, out of privacy. And then once I went to dinner, then I can talk about it. But April 3rd, 7:15 p.m., 6 people, and here we are at the restaurant. And do you see me gloating? I'm just yeah, this is a computer making my reservation. It was so cool. And Google definitely followed up on it, asking, I literally got you could tell it was from the Google Duplex team, a little survey that I filled out on my email, and it said all these different things. Did the restaurant question anything? Was your name spelled right? All these things. It was pretty wild. I mean, I think that is just unbelievably amazing. The fact that a computer can make a reservation for you. I wish that Google would send you an audio recording of the conversation they had to make a reservation. I think that would be the icing on the cake, but they don't. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro in today for Leo Laporte, who's on vacation. You can find me online at richontech.tv. And if you want more information about the show or anything we talk about, just go to techguylabs.com. Maria is in Corona. Maria, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I have some motivational messages and
share them with me.
Drive.
I need them. No, I'm just kidding.
And I need to put them onto my phone, and I don't know how. I already put them on my computer, but I'm how do I transfer them to my phone?
Okay. What kind of phone? And what format are these messages in? Okay. So, and what format are the messages in?
I don't know.
Like, is it a picture? Is it a audio? Is it video?
It's audio.
It's audio. Okay, so you want to get your audio recordings onto the phone. Okay. There's a couple ways you can do it. I mean, I would just throw them into like something like Google Drive and just download them to your phone that way. I mean, you could email it to yourself depending on your email. You know, if your email has, large enough file storage. Do you have what kind of computer do you have?
I have a Windows 8.
Okay, so if you have a Windows computer, so I mean, you could use Dropbox. That's free. You can sign up for that and just put them into Dropbox on your computer. I think Dropbox might be the easiest. I would just do that. Have you heard of Dropbox?
Yes.
Have you used it?
No.
Okay, so I'm
not tech savvy.
Okay, well, you're in the right place then. We'll walk you through it. You just literally, you've downloaded apps before on your phone, right?
Yes.
Okay, so super easy. Download the Dropbox app on your computer, okay? And then you download the Dropbox app on your phone. And then whatever you drag and drop into the Dropbox app on your computer will magically appear on your phone. And once it's on your phone, you can either play it. What do you want to do with these recordings? Do you want to play them for other people or for yourself, or what do you want to do with these?
For myself. I want to be able to play them like when I'm in the car and I'm driving.
Oh, okay. So almost like a podcast.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that too.
But not a podcast.
But it's not a podcast, just audio recordings. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's an easy way to do it. Is you can just drag and drop into Dropbox and then play them, and you got it. Now there's also another app you can use if you don't mind paying some money. There's an app called Walter, WALTR, and that helps you drag and drop things onto your iPhone as well. And that will help. So, but that's a paid thing. So I think that you probably want something that's not paid. But if you want,
right. Okay.
I mean,
I can do Dropbox, or if the Google Drive. If I have the Google Drive on my computer, on my laptop, also I could put that. I can get that on my phone, also, right?
Yes, exactly. So you have to download the app in both places.
Okay.
So otherwise,
how do I download it to my laptop?
What's that?
How do I download Google Drive to my laptop?
Just go to drive.google.com or dropbox.com, and it will give you it will walk you through. You're going to have to sign up. Do you have a Google account already?
Yes.
If you have a Google account, it'll just basically walk you through the process of downloading. With Google Drive, actually, you don't need to download anything to your computer. You can just use the web, and you would drag and drop the file onto the web interface, and it would put it in there. I personally think that the Dropbox solution is going to be a little bit easier for you because it's kind of like in your brain, it makes more sense. Whatever you drop into this file onto Dropbox will show up on your phone in the same folder.
Perfect.
Right?
Okay.
So,
all right. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
Otherwise, the other thing, Maria, is to look up Walter, WALTR. The benefit of using Walter is that you can drag and drop into, it will show up in your music application on your iPhone, which is kind of nice. So with Dropbox, you're going to have to, play it through the Dropbox app. But with Walter, it will actually show up in your native music app on your iPhone. And so that's another way to do it. The other thing you can do is you can use iTunes and put the file, if it's a MP3 or something like that, you can put it into iTunes and sync it to your iPhone. So there's a lot of different options. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get music onto your phone, which is basically what you're talking about here, which is, an audio file.
Put it in my iTunes and it'll then sync it to my phone.
Correct. You can plug your phone into your computer and then you can sync your music to your phone, which will really be just these audio files that you're talking about.
Okay.
But I think Dropbox is probably the simplest, easiest way to start for free, and just see if that works for you. If it doesn't, maybe I do iTunes, and then maybe if that doesn't work, you can try Google Drive. If that doesn't work, try Walter.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Maria.
Bye-bye.
Richard is in Hacienda Heights. Richard, what's going on?
Hey, Rich. I enjoy seeing you on KTLA News with your segments. I do, and you bring a lot of good information.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm a homeowner and live in Hacienda Heights, and I've been contemplating solar panels. And with the technology, it does shift, and I don't want to be a deer in headlights and talking to these salespeople, because my concerns are warranty, what will be the wear and tear, What is the latest technology and how safe is it? What about the maintenance of these things? I understand you're going to have to sweep the panels or wash them down. And how much do you really need? Are they going to how do you determine those things? And, solar is the future. I mean, California passed that law that new homes have got to have solar panels on them. So that's another issue that, if I sell my house, I may have to look at that. So a lot of, and also batteries. So what about Tesla? What about, I have a dream of going off the grid, not having to deal with that.
Same dream. And Richard, I've only got a little bit here to answer the question, so I'll do the best I can. But what the concerns that you have are pretty much the concerns that everyone has when it comes to solar, right? You're talking a technology that has not really evolved in the past, 10, 15 years, right? The efficiency of these panels, it kind of seems like it's the same. It's expensive. There's a lot of companies out there. You're talking about big loans or big leases or long-term leases. So I would start with a google.com website, google.com/sunroof. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Project Sunroof. That's one of my favorite places to go because they're a little bit more impartial. It answers a lot of these questions that you're talking about, and it gives you the data. So you can see, based on the address of your home, exactly how much sun you're going to get, what your pricing would be on average, what your lease rates would be, and it kind of gives you some of that starter information that you're talking about. Now, personally, I would love to go off the grid and have those Tesla power walls and so you charge those up during the day. At night, when the power's cheaper, it uses those instead, whatever it does, during the peak hours, it draws off of there. Or if the power goes out, your home will still work. But personally, as a tech person, I love the idea of this, but I
worry about that too.
Yeah.
End of sorry.
Right. But as a tech person, I love the idea of solar. I'm not ready to get in on solar just yet. You're listening to Rich DeMuro filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We can take your questions at 8888 Ask Leo. Your questions about technology after this. Richard, you still there?
I'm still here, Rich.
Yeah. So, my thing about solar is I feel like there's too many questions about it. You got to, are you staying in your house for a long time? Are you, like all these things? Are you ready for this big loan? I'm even concerned about the people putting the stuff on your roof because it's people that I don't know what they're my dad is a roofer and I just don't like the idea of people puncturing my roof, right? To put these things up there.
Yeah, especially if you have tile roof, they can crack those very easily.
Right. So I feel like there's a lot of questions, and I think that website is a good start just to kind of see like what the numbers are for your house and see if it's even worth it. Like I remember looking for my house, and the amount we pay for our electricity just wasn't worth it to go solar because solar was just so much more expensive in the long term.
Yes.
So, or the short, I should say, I guess the short term, and in the long term, maybe it's better. But I think that's a great little website to try to start out with, and it should answer some of your questions.
Do you think Leo will ever put this on as a topic on his regular radio show?
I don't know. I think that the problem with solar is it's so, it's kind of, I feel like if it was really a thing that like everyone should be doing, it would be more prevalent. But, like these companies, I feel like they're just, I don't know. I think that it could be a whole show, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Could be a whole show. But again, that website is google.com/sunroof. Did you bring it up?
Yeah, I was frantically writing it as you were telling me. Yeah.
So check it out. Google Project Sunroof. I think that's one of the better websites I've found that's a little bit more impartial. Obviously, they're trying to sell you sunroofs through these different companies. But that's my place to start.
Hey, I appreciate it.
All right, Richard. Thanks for watching on KTLA as well.
Hey, you got a good name. I like that.
Thank you. Yep, right back at you.
Okay, right, bye-bye.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. I'm Rich DeMuro. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Talking technology, talking all kinds of some great topics in today's show. And as you can tell, I love talking about this stuff because it's pretty much my life. It's one of these things where the thing about technology these days is that whether you like it or not, it is a part of your life, right? You can't avoid it. And, whether it's going to the fast food place and seeing that they've installed kiosks that you now have to order off of, or using a phone. I have people that, email me and they say, I have to switch. My flip phone just doesn't work. It just won't work with my car or my Bluetooth or this or that or music. You have to be, you sort of like an unwilling participant in some of this stuff sometimes, right? So people want you to DocuSign something, or, all these different little ways of like the way of the world is going to technology, and you kind of have to be a part of it if you want to, whether you like it or not. Millie is on with Rich. Millie, where are you calling from?
I live in Tehachapi.
Tehachapi. All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So my question was, between all the new phones, the Google Pixel 3, the iPhone, the Galaxy 10, if you think one rates better than the other. I know they have their pluses and their minuses. I'm just curious on your opinion.
Well, my opinion, they all have their pros and cons. So what are you into the most? Like, what's the most important feature for you?
I don't know. I just got a new Galaxy Pixel 3, but I had not heard that phone before. But they really promoted it at the store, a couple of stores, so I wasn't real sure. I went in thinking I was going to get an iPhone, and then they kind of said, well, this has a better camera, that's kind of what they went for. And as far as the new Google features, so I'm not too sure.
Okay, well, let me kind of give you my thoughts on these phones. So I think there's about 3 top phones right now. Well, there's 4, I'd say. So you have the iPhones, right? And the iPhones are obviously the most common out there. When you look at I wrote a book about the iPhone. So it's there's a lot of people that use the iPhone, and I do a lot of presentations about my book, and I always have people raise their hands in the audience, say, how many people here use an iPhone? And it's always like 80% of the audience. Now, worldwide, yeah, Android probably has more people using it, but the reality is day to day, what do you see around town, in the US at least, is the iPhone. So the iPhone has become just this device that is ubiquitous with smartphones. So is it the best device out there? I think it is one of the best overall devices, and here's why. It has the features that people need, right? 90% of what you need to do is built in. Listening to podcasts, listening to music, maps. Not that I'd use Apple Maps, but you could. All these things that you need are built in, right? The features you need, the software, and of course all the apps that you want are just one download away. Now, some people rank phones based on cameras, right? Because camera is probably the most popular use of a smartphone after the phone itself. So to me, yes, the Pixel 3, which is the phone. Now, you said that you got the Galaxy Pixel, and I think you meant you got the Google Pixel, right?
Correct, yeah. I meant the Google Pixel 3.
Okay, so the Google Pixel 3 is a fantastic device. But here's the thing. The Google Pixel 3, to me, is a one-trick pony. And yeah, you will have, Millie, the best camera out of any human being you will ever come across, right? Your pictures that you take will just be unbelievable, whether you're in a light place, a dark place, early morning, late night, doesn't matter. Fast movement, your pictures are going to look phenomenal. But that's sort of where it ends with the Pixel. The software updates are really fast and frequent, but I don't really think you're going to care about that as much. Now, when it comes to the Samsung devices, these are probably the biggest competitor to the iPhone, because the Samsung Galaxy lineup is pretty much everything you could ever imagine in a phone. And some of the shortcomings of the iPhone, the Galaxy has those things built in, especially the newer model, which is the S10. You're talking every major feature available on a smartphone today is built into one package. 3 camera lenses. You're talking a headphone jack on the bottom, which is something that the iPhone doesn't have. You do have face unlock. You do have a fingerprint sensor that's built into the screen, which, given, I don't think is that great. I'd rather have a physical one, but it's still there. You've got 2 cameras on the front to take selfies. One wide angle, one closer up. And it goes on and on. You've got a fantastic screen. So again, when I tell people what the best smartphone is, it really comes down to what the best smartphone is for them. And you might remember, I did say that there was 4 phones that I would seriously consider, and the 4th is the OnePlus. OnePlus is a company that is making 1 or 2, basically 2 devices a year that are as close as you can get to the purest Android device. So the software is amazing. The features are really cool. The specs are some of the highest we've seen on phones when it comes to memory and storage. But the downside to the OnePlus phones is the camera in certain situations. Now, I'll tell you, my brother, who is a tech nerd, he loves his OnePlus, and he's loved it for the past 3 years, right? And he is about as nerdy as you get. Justin, I love you, but you're a nerd. And he is an Android nerd. And he loves the OnePlus, more so than the Pixel, more so than the Samsung, because the OnePlus has a lot of features that people want in an Android device. Fast software, all the little tweaks and customizations you can do. I find that it falls short in the camera in certain circumstances, not in all circumstances. And I'm coming from a place where I have tested pretty much every smartphone that has come out in the past 10, maybe more years. And I have seen the progression of the devices, and I've seen what they're capable of. So if you ask me, if I had to rank them, it really comes down to what do you want out of your device. If you want something that's simple, and you want something that, Millie, if you have a friend, a problem with your phone, and you want to ask a friend, hey, how do I do this? Well, if you have an iPhone, chances are you can ask your friends what to do with that phone, right? They're going to have an answer, perhaps. Now, if you have my book, 101 Handy Tech Tips for the iPhone, which I recommend, that'll tell you a lot of the things that you need to know about what you can do on this device. But the reality is you might have someone in your family or a friend that has an iPhone that says, oh yeah, I know how to tweak the text messaging thing. You could just go into settings and do this. Oh yeah, I know how to change the camera filter. You just go in here and do that. Pixel 3 is going to be a little bit tougher because you're not going to find as many people to help you out with that. But you're going to have the best pictures. And you're going to have software that's up to date and secure, and it's just a simple phone that doesn't really give you many problems. And if you have a Galaxy, you're the person that people are like, oh yeah, I've heard about that phone. It's really good. You have the 3 cameras. You have the, this. You have the dual selfie cameras. That's really cool. So again, and if you have the OnePlus, Millie, you're like the best nerd in town. So believe me, I think that one's a great one. But the other thing about the other thing I haven't mentioned is the pricing of all these things. So when you talk pricing, the iPhone is going to be the most expensive. And by the way, if you're considering the iPhone, Millie, if you're going to exchange your Pixel, I would check out the iPhone XR. I think that's perfectly fine for what you need. The Pixel, you're going to find some pricing discounts on, and the Galaxy, you're going to find a lot of promotions on pricing with that device. And then the OnePlus, the pricing is just pretty standard, but it's a better value than a lot of the other smartphones. It might be closer to $600 versus $1,000 for some of these big name phones. But again, I hope that answers some of your questions, Millie. Are you going to stick with what you got?
I just got it. I've had it a week. So far, so good. I have never heard of the Google Pixel. I just didn't know how popular that was. Or
do you have Verizon?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm guessing you have Verizon because they have a deal with Google, and that is their phone. So that's probably why they recommended it. And I'm saying, you know what, Millie, I say be a little different. Try this new phone out, see what it's all about. I know you went in for the iPhone, but I think you're going to really come to love the pictures that you take on that Google Pixel 3. Rich DeMuro sitting in today for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. You have a question, give me a call. 8888 Ask Leo. 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. How you doing? Rich DeMuro with you, talking technology, talking all kinds of gadgets and phones and all the stuff that maybe frustrates you, maybe delights you, but I love talking about it. In for Leo Laporte today, who's on vacation, and we've had a great show so far, and we're going to make it even better with this guy, Dick DeBartolo. Welcome to the show, Dick.
Rich, it's great to see you. We mentioned a bit ago that we were out at CES together looking for new stuff.
That's the last time I saw you in person was that we were in this crazy, I think it was like the Unveiled or one of those shows where there's just like thousands of people around you. And some people are eating like little finger foods while they look at gadgets. It's a really weird setup, right?
Yes, but it's my favorite because... Yes. You go from table to table to table, and unlike the convention center where it takes 40 minutes to get the PR person, At that table is often the product manager of a new gadget, the PR person, and someone else there to help with the demos. So in 4 hours, you can cover a lot of stuff.
And here's, you're a nerd like myself. We like to ask the nerdy questions, right? So when you see a new gadget, you don't want necessarily the PR answer to that gadget. Like, hey, you want to know, like, how is it doing this, right? What is the mechanism behind that? And that's what's so great about these like things like CES is like, especially the smaller shows inside CES, we get those answers very quickly.
Exactly. And also at the regular show, the person who's doing it has learned a script.
Yes.
And you go, so how many milliamps is that? And they go, this can be used in the home, on the road. I said, no,
Yeah,
anyway.
they're told certain things to say and to kind of stick to that. It's the same thing of going to like Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, or when I go to Google I/O, you just sit there and you nerd out with like the people that are actually building these products, right? Like to me, my favorite thing is when I'm in the room with like a project manager, right, or a product manager for something, because you get to really like get down and dirty with like what these things do, more so than when you just see like what's on the website, or it's just fun for tech folks to do that kind of stuff.
Yes, but you know what? It's also reassuring, because this has only happened maybe 10 times in being the business for 25 years, is you're at one of these things and they go, oh, Dick, it is so simple. So you want to call and forward this to your wife? You just push this button, Murray.
It doesn't work.
Murray, is it the top button? And I'm thinking to myself, he's one of the project managers. Right. Now I don't feel so bad when I can't figure something out. So, but that doesn't happen often.
No, but it does happen. You have a gadget for us today?
Yes, exactly. Actually, they showed us at CES. It's available now. It's from, I'm sure you know this company, Anker.
Yes, I love Anker.
Anker, A-N-K-E-R.
A-N-K-E-R. Some of the best portable mobile like kind of battery packs and stuff.
Exactly. So they have something called the Power Core Plus 19,000 PD charger.
Oh my gosh, that sounds intense.
This is intense. So this is a 19,200 milliamp travel powerhouse. It comes with a separate USB-C PD charger to charge this guy. So this guy is powerful enough to charge some Apple laptops, some USB-C laptops. I just wrote down here.
USB-C.
USB-C, yes. Yep. It can charge a MacBook Pro full out of this one gadget, and we'll have a little bit of power left. But several things that are different about it. It has a hub function. So if you're on the road and you have this connected to your USB-C laptop, you can push the button in and hold it in, and it becomes a hub, so you can add a memory card to it and read from that. You can hook a keyboard up to it. You can hook up a flash drive, whatever you want. You also... so you're also getting two devices. You're getting the USB-C wall charger, which on its own can go around charging things. And to find out how much power is left in this device, it's a 10-segment LED.
Oh, wow.
Normally, yes, exactly. Normally it's 4. You either know 25, 50, 75%. So this tells you every 10% how much power is left in this guy.
This is a powerhouse. This everything you've mentioned is, because a lot of these little, people like to get the cheap little portable battery packs, but you get what you pay for. This one is going to not only charge up fast because it's got that PD power delivery. That means that it's going to charge faster than your typical. Some of these things take a really long time to charge, especially 10,000 milliamps, which, by the way, we throw those terms around, milliamp hours. So in an iPhone, the average I'd say is probably like 22,000 to 3,000 milliamp hours, right? I think the new one maybe is like 4,000 perhaps. The max, I'm not sure, because Apple doesn't really say. You have to go on like other websites. But the reality is this will probably charge your iPhone at least 3 to 4 times, right?
That's exactly. I think the guy said 4.5 times for the newest iPhone.
Yeah.
So it is a powerhouse. And even I have an older phone. I have an LG G6. And when I plug this into that, this is the first time I saw fast charging.
Yes.
And boy, it charged that phone. Normally, all my phone says is charging.
Right.
Once in a while, I use one of those cheapies, and it lights up slow charging.
Yes.
4.5 hours. But with this guy, I think it brought it up from 40% to full, like in 55 minutes.
Now, are you rocking the G6? Like, that's your daily phone, or is that just a test phone?
You know what? You're not going to believe this. I use perhaps 30 minutes a month on my phone.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. I mainly carry my phone around to shoot some quick videos. And I would say that 18 people have my phone number since I got a cell phone.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have 10,000 contacts, and they're all blocked numbers.
Nice. They're all the spam callers.
They're all the spam callers. And
So-
then I have room for my 18 friends.
What else do we need to know about this thing? I'm loving the sound of this. $120.
Yeah,
Any
it's
discounts on this
120
thing?
Yeah, you know what? It's $129, but it's $120 on Amazon. But last week when I was checking the price, one day it was a special. Get the 2 devices. It comes with a nice mesh carry bag. It was $99.99. So if you're not in a hurry for this, I would keep checking back to see if that special goes back on again. It happened twice in the last month, where for about a week they had it for under $100.
Wow.
But if you have USB-C devices and you're looking for an external battery charger, and it's an 18-month warranty. I don't know anybody who does past a year, and this company's a great company to deal with.
And if you travel a lot, this is a really nice thing to have because you can also carry around less things, right? So
Yes, absolutely. Use it as a hub.
All right, Dick, we got to run, but tell me where
buddy,
folks can find more information about this.
Okay, gizwiz.biz, and there they can play the What the Heck Is It? Gizwiz.biz.
All right, Dick DeBartolo, thanks so much for joining me on the show today. Man, can you believe 3 hours has gone by that fast? But guess what? We're going to do it all again tomorrow right here on The Tech Guy. Again, my name is Rich DeMuro. Thanks so much for welcoming me into your home or car or phone or wherever you're listening. I do appreciate it. Leo will be back next week, but I'll be back tomorrow to talk more tech. In the meantime, if you want to catch up with the show, it is techguylabs.com. There we'll have everything that we talked about. And for me, if you're like, who is this guy? Let me find out more information. You can find more about me at richontech.tv or follow me online on Twitter at Rich DeMuro or on Instagram at richontech. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time on The Tech Guy.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guy show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.